2024, the world is home to around 2 billion Muslims, making up about 25% of the global population. Islam, the second largest religion after Christianity, is spread across nearly every corner of the globe. By 2050, this number is projected to rise to 2.8 billion, accounting for nearly 30% of the world's population. This growing presence shapes our cultural and political landscapes, yet in some countries, Islam faces significant hurdles that make life difficult for its followers. Let's explore 10 countries where Muslims encounter challenges in practicing their faith. But wait, before we dive fully into this, take 2 seconds and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on our future amazing content. And hit the like button. Countries where Muslims are not welcome in 2024/2025. 10. Slovakia, a lonely struggle. Slovakia, a picturesque country in Central Europe, is known for its charming castles, stunning landscapes, and rich history. Yet for its small Muslim community, life can feel quite different. With a population of around 5.4 million, the majority of Slovaks identify as Roman Catholic, leaving the roughly 5,000 Muslims feeling like a drop in a vast ocean. Imagine the struggle of navigating daily life without the comforting presence of a mosque or a community that understands your faith. In 2016, Slovakia introduced stringent laws aimed at religious organizations, making it exceedingly difficult for those with fewer than 50,000 followers to gain official recognition. This legislation not only marginalized Muslims, but also sent a clear message that their faith is not welcome. Imagine the weight of that realization. Feeling as though your beliefs are relegated to the shadows, your prayers whispered in private instead of celebrated openly. The sentiments expressed by Slovakia's former prime minister, who stated that Islam does not belong in Slovakia, resonate deeply within the community. Such rhetoric stirs fears among the populace, amplifying concerns about cultural identity in a nation that has often viewed itself through a narrow lens of homogeneity. The Muslim community finds itself in a perpetual struggle for acceptance, grappling with prejudice and misunderstanding. Picture trying to express your faith in a society that views you as an outsider. Every prayer feels like a silent act of rebellion, every gathering a delicate balancing act of maintaining your identity while avoiding conflict. The lack of mosques and the absence of halal food options make daily practices challenging. Family gatherings during Ramadan become private affairs, often tinged with sadness as members long for a sense of belonging. The community's youth face additional hurdles, feeling isolated from their peers while also trying to hold on to their cultural and religious identity. In a country where they feel like guests in their own land, many Muslims in Slovakia dream of a day when they can openly celebrate their faith without fear of judgment or hostility. 9. Bhutan, hidden faith. Nestled high in the Himalayas, Bhutan is celebrated for its breathtaking landscapes and the unique philosophy of gross national happiness, which emphasizes well-being over economic growth. However, this idyllic setting masks a reality that challenges its small Muslim community of around 5,000 individuals. Bhutan is predominantly Buddhist, and the Muslim population finds itself struggling for visibility in a culture where their beliefs are often sidelined. Imagine living in a country where there are no mosques or community centers to gather for prayers. For Muslims in Bhutan, practicing their faith can feel like navigating a labyrinth of obstacles. Public expressions of Islamic practices, such as the call to prayer, are often met with suspicion or outright restrictions. Picture standing in your home, heart heavy, as you recite prayers silently, wishing for a space where you could gather with fellow believers and celebrate your faith without hesitation. The lack of infrastructure and resources makes it difficult for Muslims to maintain their religious practices. In a place where the concept of halal food is largely unfamiliar, many face the daunting task of preparing meals that adhere to their dietary laws, while trying to fit into a culture that doesn't quite understand their needs. This leads to feelings of isolation and frustration, as the simple act of sharing a meal with friends or family can become a source of anxiety. Moreover, the absence of visible Muslim community leaders or representatives in Bhutan can leave individuals feeling disconnected and unsupported. The cultural emphasis on happiness and harmony sometimes overlooks the struggles of minority groups, leaving Muslims to navigate their faith in solitude. Imagine yearning for connection, for a sense of belonging, only to find yourself whispering your prayers in the quiet corners of your home, longing for the day when your beliefs can be celebrated openly without fear or reservation. In a nation that prides itself on its rich cultural heritage, the Muslim community continues to seek recognition and acceptance, hoping for a future where their faith can coexist with the vibrant tapestry of Bhutanese culture, contributing to the nation's beauty instead of feeling like an afterthought. 8. Sri Lanka, a melting pot of tensions. Sri Lanka, a stunning island nation surrounded by turquoise waters, is a vibrant mosaic of cultures, ethnicities, and religions. With approximately 22 million inhabitants, it is home to Sinhala Buddhists, Tamils, Muslims, and various other communities. Among them, the Muslim population, around 1.9 million, has played an integral role in the country's rich history, contributing to its culinary diversity and cultural heritage. However, recent years have seen an unsettling shift in the atmosphere for Muslims in Sri Lanka. In April 2019, the tragic Easter Sunday bombings, carried out by a local Islamist group, shattered the country's peace and sparked a wave of suspicion towards Muslims. Overnight, the community found itself under scrutiny, facing increased hostility from the very people they had called neighbors and friends. Imagine waking up to headlines that cast a shadow over your identity, where the actions of a few tarnish the reputation of millions. In the wake of the bombings, anti-Muslim sentiments surge, leading to violent riots and attacks on mosques and Muslim-owned businesses. The fear and uncertainty are palpable. Many Muslims in Sri Lanka now navigate a precarious existence, where even the simplest expressions of their faith can become a target for backlash. The once welcoming streets now feel fraught with tension, as individuals wearing traditional attire face stares and whispers, and children are taught to be cautious around peers. Some local governments have imposed restrictions on religious attire, including the hijab, further marginalizing Muslim women who wish to express their faith through clothing. Moreover, the construction of mosques has been hindered by local opposition and bureaucratic hurdles. Imagine wanting to pray in a place dedicated to your faith, only to be met with protests and red tape. Many mosques have faced vandalism, while others have been subjected to lengthy permit processes, making it increasingly challenging for the community to gather and worship. The landscape of Sri Lanka, once rich in religious diversity, now feels like a battleground for cultural identity, leaving many Muslims grappling with their sense of belonging. 7. India, a land of contrasts. India, the world's most populous nation, is a kaleidoscope of cultures and religions, with a population exceeding 1.4 billion people. This incredible diversity is both its strength and its challenge. Among the myriad communities, Muslims constitute over 200 million, making India home to one of the largest Muslim populations in the world. Yet the Muslim community often finds itself in a precarious position, grappling with rising Hindu nationalism and a climate of fear. In recent years, the surge of Hindu nationalism has transformed the societal landscape, casting Muslims as outsiders in their own homeland. Daily life can feel like walking a tightrope, with the weight of judgment and suspicion heavy on their shoulders. Picture strolling through a bustling market, where the vibrant colors of spices and textiles surround you, yet feeling the gaze of others, whispering and pointing, simply because of your faith. The rise in hate crimes against Muslims, often fueled by inflammatory rhetoric, adds to this palpable tension, making even simple outings fraught with anxiety. The Citizenship Amendment Act, CAA, of 2019 intensified these fears. This controversial legislation aimed to provide a pathway to citizenship for non-Muslim refugees from neighboring countries, which many Muslims viewed as a direct threat to their rights and dignity. Imagine the fear of losing your identity in the country your ancestors called home, knowing that the government seems to favor others over you. The CAA sparked widespread protests, with many Muslims fearing it represented a larger agenda to marginalize their community. The result is a society where Muslims feel increasingly alienated, often facing discrimination in employment, education, and housing. Public spaces, which should be arenas of shared humanity, can become hostile environments where faith and identity provoke division. Muslims find themselves caught in a cycle of fear and resilience, trying to assert their identity in a land that sometimes views them as the other. As they navigate this complex reality, many Muslims in India continue to advocate for their rights, striving to be recognized as equal citizens in a country that celebrates diversity. Their stories of resilience echo the hope for a future where all communities can coexist peacefully, sharing the vibrant tapestry that is India without fear or prejudice. 6. Central African Republic, a heart of conflict. The Central African Republic, CAR, is a nation struggling under the weight of conflict, a heartbreaking reality for its citizens, especially its Muslim community. With a population of about 5.5 million, CAR has been embroiled in violence since 2013, when a civil war erupted, leading to deep divisions between Christian and Muslim groups. The country is often portrayed as a tapestry of cultures, yet this diversity has been marred by fear and mistrust. Around 750,000 Muslims live in CAR, making up a significant portion of the population. Unfortunately, they have been caught in the crossfire of brutal clashes between armed factions. Imagine waking up one day to the sound of gunfire, knowing that your life is at risk not because of your actions, but simply because of your faith. Communities have been devastated, homes have been burned, and entire neighborhoods have been uprooted, leading many to flee for their lives. Those who remain live in a state of constant fear. Many have lost loved ones in the violence, leaving them to grapple with grief and trauma. The psychological scars run deep as families struggle to find solace amid chaos. Schools and hospitals have been targeted, further complicating the already dire humanitarian situation. Children, in particular, have been affected by this violence, losing not only their homes but also their childhoods. Imagine a young boy, once full of laughter and dreams, now haunted by the memories of violence, wondering if he'll ever feel safe again. Internally displaced persons, IDPs, have taken refuge in makeshift camps, often lacking basic necessities like food, clean water, and medical care. These camps become microcosms of despair, with families living in overcrowded conditions, fighting for survival while clinging to their faith as a source of hope. It's heartbreaking to witness the resilience of a community that, despite the odds, continues to pray and support one another. The international community's response has been limited, leaving many to wonder about their future. Advocacy groups are calling for peace and reconciliation, urging nations to listen to the voices of those who have suffered. The story of CAR is a poignant reminder of the need for compassion, understanding, and solidarity among all people, regardless of their beliefs. In a world where faith should unite, the people of the Central African Republic continue to face challenges that demand our attention and empathy. 5. China, a silent struggle. China is a vast nation, rich in history, culture, and diversity, home to approximately 25 million Muslims, primarily from the Hui and Uyghur communities. However, for many of these individuals, practicing their faith has become an uphill battle against a backdrop of government repression and cultural erasure. In recent years, the Uyghurs in Xinjiang province have faced a grim reality marked by severe repression. Reports indicate that over 1 million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities have been detained in so-called re-education camps, where they are subjected to indoctrination, forced labor, and severe restrictions on their religious practices. Imagine waking up each day not knowing if you or your family members will be taken away, simply for adhering to your faith. The fear of being labeled a terrorist or extremist for your beliefs looms large, silencing the voices that yearn to express their faith openly. Daily life for many Uyghurs has become a silent struggle against constant surveillance. Cameras monitor every move, and security checks are routine, leaving little room for privacy or freedom. Imagine trying to celebrate important religious occasions like Ramadan under the watchful eyes of authorities, with restrictions on fasting and communal prayers that strip away the essence of your faith. Mosques have been destroyed or repurposed, and Islamic cultural sites face erasure, creating a landscape where practicing Islam feels increasingly dangerous. This crackdown has led to a deep sense of loss among Muslims in China. Families are torn apart, with some members disappearing without a trace, leaving loved ones grappling with uncertainty and fear. The emotional toll is immense. Imagine the pain of a mother whose child has been taken away, her heart heavy with worry and sorrow, wondering if she will ever see her child again. The trauma is compounded by a lack of information, with many relying on underground networks to connect with others who share their faith and experiences. Despite the oppressive environment, many Uyghurs and Hui continue to find ways to practice their faith in secrecy, clinging to their traditions and beliefs as a source of resilience and hope. Small gatherings occur behind closed doors, where prayers are whispered and stories of faith are shared. The strength of their community shines through even in the darkest of times, reminding us of the human spirit's ability to endure. As the international community grapples with China's policies, advocacy for human rights and religious freedom remains crucial. The plight of Muslims in China is a stark reminder of the importance of understanding and supporting those who struggle to practice their faith in a world that often feels indifferent to their suffering. It calls us to reflect on our shared humanity and the need for compassion, understanding, and solidarity across borders. Oh wait, I know you like this video already. Go ahead right now and show me some love by hitting the like button. Done? Let's continue. 4. Angola. Finding a place. In Angola, a vibrant nation rich in culture, music, and stunning landscapes, approximately 990,000 Muslims contribute to the tapestry of its society. However, for many in this community, practicing their faith freely is fraught with challenges. A significant portion of Angola's Muslims are migrants from West Africa, bringing with them traditions, customs, and a deep commitment to their faith. However, the absence of established Islamic infrastructure makes their journey more challenging. Imagine arriving in a new country, filled with hope and dreams, only to find that your religious practices are not fully embraced. The struggle begins with something as fundamental as food. Finding halal options can be a daunting task. Many Muslims are accustomed to easily accessible halal meat, but in Angola, this often means searching for specialty shops that may not exist, or relying on local markets where the concept of halal is misunderstood or overlooked. This struggle for sustenance extends into social gatherings, celebrations, and even daily life, leaving many to compromise their dietary practices just to fit in. Establishing places of worship, such as mosques, presents another layer of difficulty. The bureaucratic hurdles can feel insurmountable. Imagine the frustration of navigating complex regulations that often favor larger religious groups, leaving smaller communities feeling marginalized. The process can be slow and tedious, with long waiting periods and extensive paperwork. As a result, many Muslims in Angola find themselves without a dedicated space to gather, pray, and connect with their community. This absence of communal worship impacts not just religious practices, but also social connections. Muslims may feel isolated, struggling to find a supportive community where they can express their faith openly. Imagine wanting to celebrate Eid, a time of joy and togetherness, but having nowhere to gather with fellow believers. The rich, communal aspects of Islam, such as sharing meals, engaging in prayer, and supporting one another, can feel out of reach. Despite these challenges, the resilience of the Muslim community in Angola shines through. Many strive to create informal gatherings, organizing prayer sessions in homes or community centers when possible. They share knowledge about their faith, introducing their neighbors to Islamic practices and fostering understanding. Through these small acts of perseverance, they work to carve out a space for their beliefs in a society that often feels unwelcoming. 3. Japan, a cultural conundrum. Japan, a nation where ancient traditions meet cutting-edge technology, boasts a Muslim population of around 100,000 to 200,000. This diverse group includes expatriates, students, and converts, each bringing unique stories and experiences. However, the cultural landscape can pose significant challenges for Muslims trying to practice their faith in a country where their customs are often unfamiliar. For many Muslims living in Japan, the lack of halal options is a daily hurdle. Imagine arriving in a beautiful country with a rich culinary scene, only to find that many traditional dishes do not align with your dietary restrictions. While sushi and ramen are staples, the majority contain ingredients like pork or alcohol, which are not permissible in Islam. Finding halal restaurants can feel like a treasure hunt, requiring extensive research and sometimes long travels to specific areas of cities known for their limited halal offerings. During Ramadan, the challenges intensify. Picture this: it's the holy month of fasting, and you're trying to break your fast after a long day. In a city filled with bustling eateries and food stalls, you may find yourself wandering, looking for a friendly face or a welcoming space where you can share a meal and connect with others. But often, the search leads to disappointment, with many restaurants either closed or unable to accommodate your dietary needs. This feeling of isolation can be particularly poignant when you wish to share this special time with a community. Moreover, the lack of prayer facilities compounds the sense of disconnect. While Japan has made strides in recognizing the needs of its Muslim population, prayer spaces can still be scarce. Imagine needing to pray in a place that feels unfamiliar, perhaps squeezing into a small corner of a bustling shopping center or a quiet park. The absence of dedicated mosques or prayer rooms can make it difficult to maintain the regularity of daily prayers, an essential part of a Muslim's life. Despite these obstacles, the spirit of community among Muslims in Japan is incredibly strong. Many come together through social media platforms or local organizations, creating networks of support that foster friendship and belonging. Events such as iftar dinners during Ramadan bring people together, allowing them to share food and experiences while celebrating their faith. Through shared efforts, they are gradually raising awareness about their needs, introducing halal food options, and advocating for more prayer facilities. The challenge is immense, but the commitment to nurturing their faith in a new land creates a vibrant tapestry of hope, resilience, and cultural exchange. In a society often viewed as distant, these small gatherings foster a sense of belonging, bridging the gap between cultures and creating connections that transcend boundaries. 2. North Korea, the unseen faith. In North Korea, a country shrouded in secrecy and strict government control, the practice of any religion, including Islam, is almost impossible. With a Muslim population so small it constitutes a mere 0.1%, the experience of being a believer in this isolated nation is nothing short of harrowing. Imagine living in a place where every aspect of your life, from what you eat to how you pray, is monitored and regulated by the state. The government promotes a personality cult around its leaders, particularly Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, effectively rendering any faith outside of this ideology non-existent. For Muslims, this means no mosques to gather in, no community to lean on, and no halal food available. Picture trying to uphold the rituals of your faith in secret, perhaps gathering in small, clandestine groups, just to perform prayers or share meals during Ramadan. Each gathering is tinged with anxiety, knowing that even a minor slip could lead to severe punishment. Even foreign diplomats in North Korea, who might typically have more freedom to practice their beliefs, face significant challenges. With limited access to resources and an environment that breeds suspicion, they too struggle to maintain their spiritual practices. Imagine being a diplomat representing your country, but unable to find a quiet place to pray or access your holy texts without fear of being discovered. The pervasive atmosphere of surveillance, where neighbors may report each other for the slightest transgression, makes the idea of open worship feel like a distant dream. The lack of religious freedom creates an oppressive atmosphere for anyone seeking spiritual solace. North Koreans are taught to revere their leaders as deities, leaving little room for any other form of belief. For Muslims who yearn for community, connection, and the ability to express their faith openly, life becomes a daily struggle. Every prayer whispered in silence is a testament to their resilience and a yearning for a freedom that remains just out of reach. 1. Myanmar, a humanitarian crisis. In Myanmar, a country renowned for its breathtaking landscapes and rich cultural tapestry, a dark reality looms for its Muslim population, particularly the Rohingya community. With an estimated 2.2 million Muslims living in Myanmar, many face severe persecution and violence, leading to what numerous human rights organizations describe as a humanitarian crisis. Imagine being part of a community that is not only marginalized, but actively targeted for your beliefs. For the Rohingya, restrictions on their religious practices are pervasive. Imagine waking up each day in a place where building or repairing a mosque is not just difficult, it is often met with violence. The fear of attacks looms large over their lives, as community members have witnessed their mosques being burned and their fellow believers attacked simply for their identity. The chilling reality is that many Rohingya live in constant fear of losing their lives or loved ones because of their faith. The crisis reached a critical point in 2017 when hundreds of thousands of Rohingya were forced to flee their homes amid a brutal military crackdown. Families were uprooted, fleeing to neighboring Bangladesh in search of safety, only to find themselves living in overcrowded refugee camps with limited access to basic necessities. Picture the heartbreak of leaving behind everything you know, your home, your community, your sacred spaces, only to face a life of uncertainty in a refugee camp, where hope feels like a distant memory. Despite the world watching, the plight of the Rohingya often goes unheard. The term ethnic cleansing has been used to describe their situation, highlighting the severe nature of the persecution they face. The international community's response has been tepid, leaving many Rohingya to wonder if anyone truly cares about their suffering. Imagine the feeling of isolation, knowing that your community's struggles are often overshadowed by political games and geopolitical interests. In Myanmar, the call for compassion and understanding is urgent. The stories of the Rohingya serve as a poignant reminder of the importance of empathy in a world that often turns a blind eye to suffering. As their voices struggle to rise above the silence, it becomes vital for all of us to advocate for their rights, support their plight, and work toward a future where they can live in peace and security, free to practice their faith without fear. Conclusion: a call for compassion. These stories remind us that the challenges faced by Muslims in various countries are complex and multifaceted. Understanding their struggles fosters empathy and awareness, encouraging us to advocate for a world where everyone can practice their faith freely and live without fear. In a time where division often dominates the conversation, let us strive for understanding and acceptance, recognizing the shared humanity that unites us all. If you found this exploration insightful, please like, subscribe, and share for more meaningful discussions. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about international affairs and cultural dynamics, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to World Culture Diaries. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.